Hey everyone, welcome back. As usual, I am super grateful to see you guys joining me live because today I have a message that I think is just perfect timing for upcoming Christmas events with family, reconnecting with the people, around Christmas time, and, maybe seeing some people that we kind of tend to avoid a lot of the time, or we have unresolved kind of issues with, maybe hurts and pains from the past, all of those sort of things that can kind of get in the way of it seems like our growth, right? We seem like we can revert back to, old patterns, old ways of being, and ultimately, don't really enjoy the time we spend with these people. And today's message is going to be one that my hope for it is that you feel really empowered to actually take a leadership position in all of the different connections that you have, and particularly the ones in which you actually feel really like what we're going to talk about today, right? It makes you feel disconnected, makes you feel like you revert to maybe even kind of childlike, all of those sorts of things. We want to tackle it. So, and I'd love for you guys, as usual, to play along at home. So drop me a comment and let me know, if you have the courage to, who is it or, you don't even have to name them exactly. Just let me know if you've got a particular person or people in mind that you may be connecting with over this kind of Christmas period, or, Christmas Day, for instance, or over New Year's, and you kind of know that they are this person that just triggers you, right? Like, you just don't like who you are when you're around them, and you want to avoid them at all costs. And maybe the only time you actually connect with these people is at Christmas time, or, somebody's wedding or somebody's death, right? This might be what goes on for you. So drop me a comment, let me know, and we will dive into today's message. Really excited for this one. And like I said, if you've got any questions or comments or words of wisdom that you want to share on this topic, then definitely drop some comments, and I will make sure that I get to each and every one of you guys by the end. So today, I want to introduce you to, if you haven't heard this brilliant quote by Ram Dass, I think it's just so key to everything that we could be experiencing when we're reconnecting with people that we, have unresolved issues going on with over Christmas, right? So Ram Dass, in his wise words, says that if you think you're enlightened, go and spend a week with your family. All right. I really love this one because I can see my own growth and development over this journey, and it's fascinating to me, right? So basically how I used to be, and you might be able to see yourself in this, right? Either your current self or your past self. But basically, after I'd left home, I left home when I was 18. And after that period of time, when I came back into the family environment, with my parents or with my grandparents or, my aunties or uncles or whoever, right? And my brothers and whatever, I always found like I kind of reverted into this kind of like this anxiety within me every time I had to reconnect, right? There was something going on, not always, but it tended to be something that could come up. And what has happened over time is that I've utilized those moments in time as my own growth and development, right? But I wasn't always conscious of what was going on. So a lot of people, yourselves may be included, myself at times, I've got one particular family member who I'm doing quite a bit of work with at the moment. And basically they just kind of trigger us, right? We feel like a little bit of anxiety going into their company. We don't know how it's going to be, and we kind of want to avoid it if we can. And we, get into that kind of way of being. And what happens is we don't realize it, but what we're doing is we're giving all our power away to that person, and we're reverting into past patterns. And those past patterns are connected to unresolved emotional wounds, perspectives that we've developed about ourselves, about other people, based on our dynamic and the relationship with those people. And so what happens is when we don't realize it's just a series of patterns that are, that we're running, that are making us feel these same old ways, we revert into those and we feel like it's all about that other person, right? And we feel like we don't want anything to do with that person. We just want to cut ties and avoid. But that's not empowering, right? All that does is make you really breakable and shakeable in their presence. And I know for myself, I want to be the kind of person who can be unshakable and unbreakable in the presence of any human being, no matter who they are, no matter how they show up. I don't make it mean anything about me. And I'm strong and centered within myself, right? I'm not thrown off course by other people. And if you share that vision for yourself, the kind of person that you want to be, the kind of empowerment that you want to have, then you want to be somebody who leans in to these kind of really challenging people, right? And the patterns that they generate and the dynamics that keep going on, unchecked. And we want to lean into that, and we want to really take it back to the particular instances, scenarios, experiences that we've had with these particular people that have generated this pattern that's making us feel really disempowered and shakeable in their presence, right? We want to take back our power. We're not trying to play a power game with them. We're not trying to take their power for our own. What we're doing is we're just recapturing our power that we've been giving away, right? Nobody's taking it from us, we're giving it away. And so how we want to do that is we want to identify the particular people, who trigger us. And sometimes that just happens to be family. And I just wanted to bring in Ram Dass's wisdom in this one. But basically, whoever the people are, to identify who they are, and to then identify, what is it about this person that really triggers me? How do I feel about myself? What fears are underneath that anger that gets triggered, or that sadness, or that desire to run away or dissociate, right? We want to go, what's the fear underneath that, right? And then when we can do that, we can have a pathway to actually go, I've got some work to do. And this person who's triggering me, a family member or whoever they are, they're actually kind of like my dark guru, right? Who's giving me the lessons that I need to learn in order to be my most empowered self. So instead of this angst about, having to be in their presence and wanting to run away, instead we can lean into it and actually go, all right, I'm going to take this as an opportunity for myself to grow in the places that I most need and are most necessary for me to be the empowered person who is unshakable in the presence of other people. Now, I'll take you back to a funny little story of what happened for me when I actually realized I'd had some growth in this area. And it was a few years ago. And basically what had happened was one of my brothers had come to visit. I was staying with my parents at the time, and he came and spent the week or so with us, right? And I noticed all this anxiety that was coming up for him, and he couldn't sit still, and he was getting really anxious, and he was kind of walking on eggshells, and he was on edge. And I said, what's going on? What's the matter, right? And he just, said, oh, this is how I feel when I come back home. And it was so funny to me because, or not funny, but just weird, because I noticed, that's how I used to feel. I used to feel like that, right? That walking on eggshells kind of nervous energy. But why is it that I don't feel like that anymore, right? I had to really question this. And this is a brother who's 8, nearly 9 years older than me, right? And I could see my past self in him. And then I had to check for a minute and go, what did I do differently? What growth did I have to have in order to now have the very easy, calm, peaceful dynamic that I have in that same environment that I used to feel like my brother did, right? What had to happen for that shift to occur? And basically it all came down to a hell of a lot of the growth that I'd done for my own self that took the me giving away the power, for other people in my external world to decide if I was valuable or good enough or any of that stuff. And I took that power back by being on my own growth journey and a lot of, personal development that I had been doing for myself, reconnecting and discovering my authentic self and having the courage to align my life with my inside world rather than mold it for what I perceived my external world wanted, right? And so I'd done a lot of focus work on that, which then allowed me to show up in those relationship dynamics as the person that I actually am, and full acceptance for the people around me to be who they are, right? Without me making how they operate mean anything personally about me, and take back the power to determine my worth, and how happy I can be, how fulfilled I can be, because I could know that that was generated from within and it wasn't at the whim of the dynamics or the circumstances external to me. All right. And so by realizing that, and you might have this experience over Christmas time, right? When you get to reconnect with people that maybe they've previously triggered you, I'd ask you and invite you to actually check in with how far you may have come. Now, you may have come far and get a really great experience like the one I just shared with you that alerted me to how much growth I'd had. So I could be grateful for it and celebrate it, right? Because otherwise, if we don't have some sort of external check-in point, sometimes we don't even know, right? Because we're with us all the time, so we don't always know where we're having that growth. Or you may have a very different experience. And I call this the experience of dissociation, right? And how we actually believe that dissociation is our enlightenment, our growth, because we've dissociated from, say, the people or the patterns or the circumstances that once triggered us, right? We're like, oh, not going to see them again till Christmas time. And because they're out of our existence, our everyday life, we kind of feel like we've got it all together. Now, I liken this to being the monk who lives in a cave, right? Who, goes and lives in this beautiful cave and is in total peace and harmony within themselves, and they pray and they feel so connected and, all this sort of stuff. And then one day they decide, I'm so enlightened, I'm going to come down into the village and I'm going to, reconnect with people. And what they find is they revert into their previous self, right? And all of that peace and harmony that they created in their cave is now out the window, and they're reactive to the environment. And the reason for that is because they've actually dissociated from the things that trigger them and their own true experience and what growth is necessary for them. And they've mistaken it for their enlightenment or their growth. But really what that is simply a postponement of the inevitable patterns that need to be addressed, right? The recurrence of those patterns. And so that's why I say, don't run away, right? Lean in to the triggers. Lean into the relationship dynamics that trigger you. Lean into those people. Put yourself around them. And then instead of being reactive, notice what happens for you. Go and do the work on yourself personally. And I guarantee you that if you use those triggers, those painful experiences, the circumstances that you create in those dynamics with those other people, you will actually get to a place of gratitude for how those people are actually fast tracking your success towards your growth and your fulfillment and your freedom for empowerment, because you actually took responsibility for your own feelings and emotions and thoughts and meanings that you create, and you use them as that kind of pushing up against that you need in order to grow, right? In order to understand yourself at a deeper level, and in order to take back the power that you might have been blind to the fact that you were giving away. All right, so that's really, really key, and I just want all of us to think about this one and be excited for the potential for growth, particularly with those who you are most triggered by, all right? And you revert to your old past patterns. Now is the time to grow, and remember Ram Dass's words, if you think you're enlightened, go and spend a week with your family. All right, I think that's a really good one. And I definitely want to check in with you guys, see who's been able to join me, drop me some comments, let me know where in the world you're tuning in from, and I'd love to check in and see what you guys have to say. So I've got Donald in the house and Bill and Daryl. Awesome to see you guys. And Jerry and AJ, and Daryl is from the Great White North. I love it. And Jerry, wow, awesome, Vanessa. Awesome to catch your live. Appreciate you always. Much appreciation coming right back at you, my friend. Always grateful to see you. And Javier's here. And Joseph, hello to you. And Laval and Hoang, my friend, have a nice weekend. Same to you, my friend. And Javier from San Diego, good to see you as usual. And Laval, my fellow Tiger supporter, good afternoon to you. And Judy's in the house, and Donna and Ferris and Henry and Jerry. I was the family black sheep, but loved by most of the others. Was only one, my uncle, my godfather, who was always on case. Yeah, definitely. So I too am a little bit of the black sheep of my family. So, you know, high five to you, Jerry. And yeah, we can have those different people in our lives. So, you know, it's all about identifying, why is it, you know, my uncle or my godfather, right? Like, what specifically is it about them that really triggers me? And what is that pointing on in terms of the level of acceptance and strength that I need to step into within my own self, right? Because oftentimes we're triggered by people because we feel judged by them, right? And what we need to do is, instead of look at, oh, I wish that person would stop judging me and just accept me. It's like when people judge us, when we're fully accepting of the thing that they judge us about, it actually, like, yeah, we'd rather them just accept us, but it actually has no bearing on how we show up, right? It doesn't hit us personally. Instead, we can then see where that person judges themselves, and how they're treating themselves is how they treat others, right? And so instead of wanting them to change, we go, okay, why is this hurting me? Okay, that's pointing on this particular part that I feel judged about, and how can I learn to be more accepting of myself with this? How can I get more connected to what authentically inspires me, what I truly value, and the kind of human being that I want to be, and step more fully into that with courage, right? So that I can be a fully accepting human being who doesn't have conditions on my self-esteem, and I certainly don't put those the power of deciding those conditions in the hands of other people to determine my worth, right? And so that, therefore, that person never has to change for you to be okay in that relationship dynamic. Just know that, because the moment you want others to change is the moment you're giving them your power, you're not taking responsibility, and you're missing an opportunity for the growth that would most empower yourself, right? And when you grow and you empower yourself and you're unshakable in the judgments of others, you know, you actually start to actually have a relationship not only with yourself, but truly with others. And then you see the judgments and the hatred and the pain that exudes out of other people's judgments directed towards other people, projected, say, onto you, and you actually see it as not meaning anything about you, and instead you actually get a real deeper insight into what's truly going on for that other human being. You know, the pain that they're in, the fear that they're in, the regrets that they have, all of that stuff. And then you can have a sense of compassion, you know, in unshakability, right? And you don't let it, you know, affect you on a personal level, affect your self-esteem. And in fact, you get to a place beyond that where you can actually potentially have the possibility of impacting them in a positive way and lifting them out of their own fear. But that's next level, right? So, but love your share there, Jerry, and love your hair matches your wisdom. I love it. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate you, my friend. And Bill, my presence isn't always necessary. If you feel you shouldn't be somewhere, trust it. Yeah, okay, that's a great point as well. And I love that you bring that up, because there is such a thing as having healthy boundaries. And when other people can't respect your boundaries, right? If they keep treating you poorly, then yeah, I'm with you, Bill. You know, you do not have to be in that environment. And in fact, it's one of the most self-loving things that you can do is to have a level of discernment, right? And to have higher standards for where you disperse your energy. But don't skip out, you know, what's the word? Oh my gosh. Oh, you guys know what I'm talking about. Spiritual bypassing, right? Don't bypass the growth. Make sure that you take the lessons and you don't, like Bill's saying, you don't actually have to be in their presence, you know, to be able to do the growth as well, right? You can reflect on your past experiences with those people who most trigger you, and you can do the work based on your reflection, right? You don't have to be in their physical presence. So totally up to you, and definitely have those healthy boundaries and instill them in the minds and the hearts of the people around you as well. And the other thing about that is that we train others how to treat us, right? So if you just accept poor treatment, poor behavior all the time, then, you know, there's something to say about us at times when people keep treating us poorly. Not to say, I'm not trying to make the victim a victim here, right? But, you know, basically we want to look at that. We want to take some responsibility for that as well and go, what is it like about how this person is witnessing me treat myself, or how I just let others treat me poorly? What do I need to do about that? How do I need to up-level the game of how I treat myself, right? And also what I will and will not stand for in treatment from others, right? And to look at that as well. There's a lot of growth to go on with that as well. So yeah, love that, Bill. Always grateful to have you here, my friend. And Emmanuel is here as well. And Javier, Vanessa, what's on your Christmas list? Oh, you know, just, I don't know. Good question. I think for me, you know, just to see the people that I love and care about the most unify and expand, you know, honor our diversity, you know, honor our differences, just accept and appreciate our differences rather than, you know, the past pains of, you know, trying to get people, particularly in our family relationships, to play different roles that we think they should have, right? But we're actually negating the truth of who they are, their authenticity, you know, and what drives them. So I don't know, that's probably a big ask, but I guess that would be on top of my Christmas list. Love the question, Javier. Good to see you as usual. And Lee's here as well. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're enjoying beautiful Noosa. Oh, I miss that place. And Henry, have you had the issue of dissociation and how did you overcome it? Love your talks. They are so straight on and empowering. Thank you. Thank you for those kind words there, Henry. And I always appreciate you guys when you ask questions. Yes, this has been a major struggle for me, is dissociation. I am so good at it, right, that I have to really watch myself to make sure that when I'm feeling empowered at a different time, it's not because I'm dissociating, right, and spiritually bypassing the work, because I'm very good at convincing myself and jumping to, you know, a positive, more empowered state of being. And that's actually a big challenge that I used to have, particularly when I started out in personal development and started doing all of this work back in 2013. And I was very focused on learning from people who are super positive, future focused, and I love all that stuff, right? But it wasn't until about 3 years into my personal growth journey that I actually learnt the hard way that you can't skip over past pains, past hurts, past traumas, all those sorts of things. And basically what you need to do in order to be your most empowered self is to actually go back and clear the past to make way for your most empowered future. And the reason is because if we just skip over all of that stuff, when we dissociate ourselves from past traumas, which are all subjective, by the way, don't compare yourself to people who have these really dramatic traumas. You have got some trauma in your past and it's very subjective to you. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be on the outside look like the smallest thing, but it could have impacted you greatly, right? And guaranteed you have a series of these different events, you know, throughout your past that are now making you, if you just skip over and dissociate from that, You're now determining your entire future and your visions and what your goals are based on this person who's actually dissociated from self, right? And that's why a lot of people, particularly in personal development, they keep making goals, but they're never really fulfilled. And then they're feeling really disconnected and they think it's going to be this new course that they do or learning from this super positive person over here, right? And what happens is they keep jumping and jumping. They're kind of just spinning like a mouse in a wheel, right? And never really feeling a sense of progress. And that can get to, really places of, further places of dissociation. But the idea is what we want to do. And what I had to do was I had to go back and take a bit more therapeutic approach to my own history so that I can stand here right now today as my most authentically inspired person, right? Not having all these different parts of my past now determining, who do I need to be loved? Who do I need to be accepted? What does the rest of the world want from me, right? Which is how I lived the first 25 years of my life. And basically instead, because I've done the work to recapture those moments and actually really fully experience them and catch myself when I dissociate from different emotions and different past traumatic experiences, now I can truly stand here and make sure that what I set for myself, the goals that I set for myself, the visions that I create for myself, they're actually really aligned from where I actually am, who I actually am, right? And so that's the difference between, staying in all those dissociations and it's a safe place, right? Just going, don't want to feel that, dissociate, distract, right? And get on with the job and just stay positive. That doesn't work long term, right? It might be a short-term relief, but it'll get you down a path that's not even authentic to you. So that's why the first place I start with everybody that I work with is clearing the past to make way for their future. So they're actually creating a life that's truly authentic to them. All right, so I so appreciate the question. That was a bit long-winded of an answer for you, Henry, but so appreciate you being here, my friend. And shine on, peace and love straight back at you, Bill. And Jerry, just to be authentic and true through kindness and love will define us. Be proud of yourself. Make us good humans. I love that, Jerry. So beautifully put, my friend. Always appreciate your heart being shared here. And Edgar's in the house. Always sending love from Chihuahua, Mexico, and right back at you from Australia. Love it, Edgar. And Daryl, Crucial Conversations, a book I recommend. I will check it out. Thanks for the recommendation, Daryl. And Henry, I recognize what you went through going through it. Great that you explained it so well. Lots of love. Much love to you, Henry, as well. And grateful. My heart is with you, my friend. To go deep into the darkest parts of our emotions is... I used to hate it, right? Like I used to go, wow, what do I need to, I get to choose how I feel. I don't need to feel angry. I don't need to feel sad. I don't need to feel that terror. I need to feel, fulfilled and happy and empowered, right? And positive, right? You can't negate your emotions. Your emotions have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? It's like going through a tunnel, seeing the light at the end. Don't stop in the middle of the tunnel, right? Don't just hang out there thinking it'll pass. You end up disconnecting from your truth, your authenticity, and all the positive emotions that you could be genuinely experiencing, but you've got to go through your emotions to get through them, right? You got to weather the storm to enjoy the rainbow, all that great stuff. So yeah, that's been one of my biggest lessons in life, is going deep into the darkness so that I can truly experience the lighter sides of life as well. And life is not meant to be just lived without contrast, right? We can't actually have happiness without sadness, right? We need both to fully experience life, to be a full human being. You want to experience the full spectrum of human emotion and move through it without judgment. And that's not an easy process. It's one that I have to navigate all of the time. But I've learned the power of moving through your true authentic emotions so it doesn't get stuck in your physical body and come out in ways that we don't, make us less emotionally intelligent and create more drama in our lives. It's unnecessary, right? So Love that, Henry. So appreciate you. And hello to you. I can't say your name. Don't know what language that is, but appreciate you being here. And John Elaine is here as well. And Edgar, only in darkness stars are the brightest. I love that. So beautifully said, my friend. And Playful's here as well. And Ellen, hope that you guys who are just joining now do catch the recording, get a ton of value from today's message, because I am about to sign off. And I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for showing up live today. I so appreciate you guys. Thank you for your comments and your questions, your words of wisdom. You are so appreciated. I love co-creating these conversations with you. And my message to remind you each and every day is to go out there and live authentically, love deeply, and contribute meaningfully and purposefully. And don't forget the words of Ram Dass: if you think you're enlightened, go and spend a week with your family. All right, lean into those dark gurus. Get all the lessons, get all that pathway for growth that's available to you, and make the most of this Christmas, and look forward to a really empowered 2021. Much better than this year, hopefully. Much love to each and every one of you guys, and I will see you soon.